And now to a handful of hot global spots that investors are watching very carefully. From Russia to China to Cuba, Michelle Caruso Cabrera has the latest.
We'll start in Russia, where a massive march occurred over the weekend. Thousands came out to mourn the assassination of Putin critic Boris Nemtsov. This event was originally supposed to be a march for peace, organized in part by Nemtsov. But after his murder, it was turned into a remembrance rally, and the Kremlin took the unusual step of allowing these huge crowds to gather in the center of Moscow, right next to the walls of the Kremlin. Important financial news out of Russia's southern neighbor, China. Chinese markets jumping today after the country's central bank cut interest rates again for the second time in 3 months. Just like many other central banks in the world, China is cutting rates in an effort to jumpstart the slowing economy. The cut was 1/4 point for one-year lending to a level of 5.35%. Here in the U.S., the price of copper moved to a 6-week high on that news. And to Cuba now. Roberta Jackson, the State Department's lead diplomat for Latin America, says she is optimistic that the U.S. and Cuba will resume diplomatic ties by mid-April. This news came after meetings with Cuban diplomats, the first meetings held in the U.S. since President Obama announced in December a change in U.S. policy toward the communist country. The Cuban negotiators want Cuba to be removed from the U.S. list of countries that sponsor terrorism. They say their presence on that list makes it impossible for Cuba to conduct banking and other business in this country that they would need to do in order to operate an embassy here in Washington. The White House is deciding whether Cuba's designation as a terrorist state is outdated. In the meantime, new evidence today that Fidel Castro is apparently still alive. Photographs published today in Cuba showing the former dictator meeting with the so-called Cuban Five. Those are the 5 spies who spent years in U.S. prison and released in December as part of a prisoner exchange with the U.S. That exchange came at the same time as President Obama's historic announcement. For Nightly Business Report, Michelle Caruso Cabrera.